couldn't help but think about, right now I'm thinking about how the bottom of like soda is, well, not cans of soda, but typically bottles. If you've had it out for a set period of time, it's always going to taste flat. But I ended the last video by saying, yeah, continue to the next video in the series. And I'm like, okay, is this like, on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z? Or, I don't know, the only other example I can think of is next time on the Younger and Restless. I know typically the traditional practice is to actually give a preview of stay tuned for scenes of the next episode of Fox's Empire. I actually didn't I never intended to get into that show. My father kept asking me, "Oh, did you watch Empire? You watch Empire?" And I'm like, I told him no several times. And then sometimes you break down and then you're looking at what's on your DVR and you see this recorded show, and I'm like, okay, not that you're bored to tears, but there's nothing else to watch on or off the DVR. So you say, okay. I was actually pretty impressed with some aspects of it. I know I totally was going to get into something else, but yeah, I'm going to start a series of shows that I promote despite not getting any money from it, and I'm not even going to go as far as hit the monetization button on YouTube, monetize, whatever you call it. But yeah, I will say that I was impressed with some aspects of how they incorporated music, both original music and I'm sure there's songs that they did covers for that people have already done, or at the very least, every show has songs that have been featured in this episode. Because I know I studied music and a little bit of business associated with music where I went to school. So you learn about licensing fees, where you have to I learned that if a song is in a movie, then there's a minimum of $10,000 for licensing. I learned that when there was this actor featured on NYPD Blue, he started singing, I forgot what show it was on, but he was starting to sing Sexual Healing, and I saw the bill of how much that cost, and I was it was no surprise that entertainment is the second biggest industry under weapons and military. And the fact that I was going to get into actors' salaries, but I think a better example, I know that boxing doesn't fall into entertainment, I know it falls into sports, but it's I know it's what I'm trying to say is there's a certain degree of entertainment. The rent was picked up by HBO and Showtime, and the point I'm trying to make is each of these fighters got a ridiculous amount of money. At least I want to say 100 million. I don't know whether I'm over or under, but the point is, it was just okay. I'm not going to take this F train to Brooklyn and start training at I forgot the name of the place. It was the same place that Hilary Swank actually trained for her role in $1 Million Baby. I can go on YouTube. I'll say during the break I can go on YouTube and not YouTube, Google, and see exactly what the name of the boxing gym is called. My brother used to spend a lot of time there. I'm pretty sure whenever he is in New York, that's where he spends time. Actually, this almost never happens, but the name of the gym was called Gleason's, and I remember when I went there on 2 or 3 times, I learned that it was a place where Rocky was filmed, but it was one of the early Rockies. With that said, the earlier that the earlier in the franchise the movie was, the more quality it has. Um, Not that I was a fan of Rocky 2, or I didn't really give Rocky 3 a chance, and I saw it like when it was released on video back in the late 80s. But um, there was my personal, it's funny. I was just about to say how that franchise should have ended at Rocky 4, and I know right now they're filming Creed, which is supposed to be a spin-off. It's supposed to be the grandson of Apollo Creed, that dude who played on Fruitvale Station. I know right now he's one of the stars of the upcoming Fantastic Four. And Michael B. Jordan, I was just about to say, he was in The Wire. That was one of his earlier gigs. And he had another gig where he was actually in a soap opera. But yeah, yeah. Now I really forgot like what exactly. Oh yeah, boxing salaries and yeah. I'll end it with Rocky 5 because I was gonna put that on a list of not to compare it side by side with Rocky Balboa, but after learning one thing about the movie, I was watching it again, and yeah, like it wasn't like by far like the best movie in the series, but if the movie would have ended with Rocky dying, I think the guy's name was like Tommy Gunn, but like it would have been like I mean, I know I talked about another video about between the beginning, the middle, and the end. Yeah, there were some things in the middle of Rocky 5 that could have been improved upon, but the way it started with him going broke, having to move back to Philadelphia, back in the neighborhood, and then mentoring like a protege, and then at the end of like the protege like turning around and killing him. It kind of sounds like more Shakespearean, or a story that has more of a I mean, I mentioned Shakespeare. The first thing that came to mind was Othello. Not to say that I've actually read Othello. I just saw one of the remakes of O, and there's okay, for the sake of like anybody who would see like I was just going to simply say that there's at least one death. There's quite a few deaths, but I went into the story a little bit, but yeah, sometimes when there's a death in the movie, then it makes it like that much more dramatic. Jack dying in Titanic, perfect example. I could take a list of IMDb's like top 250 greatest movies of all time, and there's like a lot of movies that I feel should be on there but isn't. Perfect example, Butterfly Effect. And any death that's kind of associated with that movie, it's sort of kind of tricky. Not to compare it with Edge of Tomorrow, where he sort of keeps dying and then keeps waking up, and there's like a different scenario that plays out. But yeah, I mean, death is like a part of life, and that's a whole nother topic I'm not going to get into. But whenever you add that element and you make it more of, there's parts that like, sometimes when you watch something, you have to ask yourself, okay, is this like based on a true story at the very least, or no, it almost becomes real. As a kid, sometimes like you have to distinguish what's real and basically what you'll see like once you walk onto the set of these things, because that's the only thing it takes to realize, okay, everything here is like artificial. So anyways, when I get back, I bring up points sometimes, and at this point I'm just gonna say like, okay, if I want to get into like good movies or dying scenes, or at least share like my favorite movies of all time, one video I would love to make is like the greatest movies that I sort of grew up with. I'll just like have it span from like the year I was born to like when the 90s started, which was a period of 6 years. But maybe at some point tonight, if I have enough, like, sometimes I gotta make this screen just got a little darker. I'm still adjusting. I gotta fix that in the settings. But yeah, I'm probably gonna make a list at some point if I ever, or if I choose to, go any further with, this endeavor. The first thing I'd do is probably get something reliable. So if I want to make a video that's like over 20 minutes, I can. But yeah, I know I started to say something, and when I said I'm just going to end this video, and if I make one more video, I'm just going to finish what I started as far as what I felt about something I saw earlier this week. So with that, I'm signing off.